I did not know they were going to disconnect us right on the dot. So when I came on, it told me I no longer had access to TikTok. So I'm sending out this video to let you know that I will set up a Zoom room for us, and we can get together there. I can share my story. It does mean you have to download the and create a Zoom account. It's free, no charge for that. All you have to do is go to zoom.us and set up an account. And I will send out a link for tomorrow, okay? So that we can get together. And then I will hopefully know how to do this on YouTube, because I wanted to do a private account. And I did a practice run today over there, only I can't find it now. So I have to figure out, if I do a private account, how do I find what I've put over there? And I think what I should have done was copy the link that was up there in my browser at that time, and I didn't, because I thought my page would say something about my private account, and I haven't been able to find that yet, but I will do my best. In the meantime, let me give you a sample of the story I was going to share with you, so that you have something to look forward to, all right? Let's see now. We get to the beginning of this story. Kind of was peeping in it today, which I probably shouldn't have done. Okay, we have. Okay, here's a blurb about the book. Maximus Savage is no ordinary man. His distinctive and dysfunctional upbringing was the catalyst to a wild life, one lived by his own rules. When his natural talent as a brilliant marksman and skilled fighter is discovered in the seedy underworld of Sin City, Maximus quickly makes his mark on the world, slash by bloody slash. Dr. Zaire Ellington is a psychologist who runs a successful blog and podcast from Los Angeles, California. A workaholic, she spends long hours doling out expert relationship advice to those in need of soothing and direction in their lives. Stressed and needing a weekend away, she and her girlfriends take a trip to the Las Vegas Strip for fun and relaxation. The last thing she is looking for is a one-night stand, but when she spots Maximus rolling the dice, all bets are off. The unlikely duo cross paths and become quickly entangled in each other's lives, unraveling secrets, unlocking passion, and dangling the keys to survival and love. Can a heartless top hitman with a penchant for violence find a way to emotionally accept and embrace the woman who has captivated him from the moment he laid eyes on her? And can an educated, classy lady look deeper into the black abyss known as Savage and see the fervent, beating heart he's tried to deny since the moment he drew his first breath? So, all right, let's find out a little about this story. You have the blog of what these two characters are about, and therefore have some idea of what the story is going to entail. So let's get in. Oh my goodness, we got a lot of pages here that have nothing to do with the actual story other than thanking people and recognizing others. But that's okay. Mm. All right, so here we go. And right off the bat, it begins with him using some bad language. So there's probably going to be a lot of blank, okay? I was born to be a blank killer. It's in my DNA. It's sneered within my DNA from the core. I will die with a never-ending, all-consuming desire to hunt mankind, not the weak among us, but the feral blank, the rancid, no good blank on my soulless level who wouldn't blank on you if you were on fire. I'm the king of the Sin City jungle, the sharp, spiky top of the food chain, doing what I do best, demolish the malevolent of our society. You can't be angry at a fox for being sly, a wolf for leading a pack, a lion for ripping an antelope to shreds. It's in their nature, and I don't fight what I am. I embrace it. My mother always told me, Maximus, be the best at whatever you do. If that's being a janitor, then you mop those floors until they're spotless. If it's the CEO of a company, then you run that empire as if your life depends on it. My mother was right. I answer to my last name, Savage, because that's what I am. My father handed this name down to me, and he was just as deserving as me to have it. From the moment I came out of a blank blank, I knew who and what I was, and I was never apologetic or ashamed. I claimed it. Now I've been unleashed upon the world like a plague with no cure. No one I've sought to annihilate has escaped from my grasp, and I guarantee you, no one ever will. My targets, by the time they see me, it's too late. I am their judge, their jury, their demons, their karma, their reaper. I am the man who doesn't give one single blank about their pitiful pleas or pretentious prayers. I am your wet dream and your worst nightmare. I am savage. Okay, now we begin. Money by Pink Floyd blasted through the surround sound speakers of a large house situated in a cul-de-sac on Robin Drive in LA. Savage wrapped one ring hand around the front of the graceful, slender neck attached to some hot babe. The beautiful specimen, a woman with long, dark brown hair, sported a detailed tattoo of a winding, bright red snake from her nape to the top of her plump, pale ass. She was bent over before him, serving wet, fat blank around his groin as he thrust inside her canal. Okay, see, this story starts out, well, you're already in a fellowshipping situation. But I'll go ahead and read it anyway. With each plunge into her addictive valley, his red and black striped satin robe flew open like bat wings, exposing his sweaty, naked body covered in black tribal art he'd acquired from some of the best artists in the country over a 10-year span. Ah, the woman groaned as she gripped a fistful of burgundy and black silky sheets. She cooed, then bit hard into the fabric, screaming at the top of her lungs from each powerful, unforgiving dime. He went deep, and her loud moans and whimpers blended in with the beat of his favorite song. Being an avid Pink Floyd fan, even the people moving about outside seemed to go with the rhythm of the music. Savage sped up his pace with the woman all the harder as he continued to people watch through his tinted bedroom window. The creatures of the night, dressed in their sexiest swimsuits, and the men sporting jewelry and flashing keys to their cars, paraded around his pool, enjoying themselves, many of them holding expensive mixed drinks served by his stable of bartenders. A few were passing joints amongst each other, as well as other drugs in pill form to take their partying to the next level. He glanced lazily at the various cameras hanging along the nearby wall, giving him a full view of the rest of the house and his surrounding property. Suddenly, a red light pulsed and glowed in the upper corner of his bedroom. It went bright, then dull, repeating like a beacon. SHIT. Someone had rung the bat signal. He continued and pounded within the beautiful creature before him as his eyes narrowed on the people who enjoyed the pool party on his dime. In quick fire succession, he assessed his surroundings. Nothing looked out of place, but of course, there had to be something wrong. In a matter of seconds, the poor blank began to scatter like ants dashing away from an oversized magnifying glass while Pink Floyd bellowed, root of all evil. Pressing his chest into her back, he reached for his cigar that rested in a nearby ashtray and took a deep inhale. He went faster with her, sweat trailing down his face and hairy chest, flowing over his tattoos like the lines on a map. Swirls of white smoke bellowed out of his lips and filled the air, drifting upward, then disappearing into the atmosphere like hazy memories long forgotten. Savage, one of his property guards yelled into a speaker, his tongue frantic. There's a break-in. We've got blank. The staticky messages went abruptly dead, cut off like a decapitated head with a sharp machete. Unfazed, he kept drawing on his cigar and ramming the woman before him as if jerking a pinball machine, trying to get that last high score. He coolly glanced out at the pool area, now empty with the exception of one dead security guard floating on top of the pool, surrounded by crimson water. The other dead man was a gun dealer lying on the concrete, the spinning disco lights reflecting on his face in a swirling rainbow colors that changed with the beat of the song. An unfortunate casualty, one that Savage will make the culprits regret. What's going on? The woman asked breathlessly, eyeing him from over her shoulder. Her glassy blue eyes sheen over, wrought with fear. He ignored her, then regarded the canvas through narrow eyes. With a grunt, he flooded the condom with the quick fire blast of cum and pushed the woman away, forcing her to fall head fast onto the bed. He couldn't recall her names, so he bypassed addressing her altogether. Snapping his fingers, he caught her attention. Slide in here. Don't make a sound until I come to get you. He pointed to a small room within the master suite where she quickly raced to, then locked her in. Discarding the silk robe, letting it fall to the floor in a heap, he put on a pair of jeans. He grabbed from a pair of jeans he had grabbed from a dresser drawer and pushed the white button. A button that looked like the entrance to a closet slid open to reveal his precious mother lode. The display revolved, showcasing a host of assorted artillery, his heart's desire. While removing several firearms from their resting place, his adrenaline soared. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted several strange men making their way through his home via the cameras, crawling about like insects, invading his privacy and personal space. He gritted his teeth when he saw two more dead guards, one of whom he had taken a bit of a liking to. With the sound of gunshots ringing like 4th of July fireworks, he marched towards the front door of his bedroom. The moment he swung it open, two men approached at full speed, their guns blazing like lights from a million candles. His bare feet smacked against the glossy wooden floors as he returned fire, shooting at rapid speed in their direction. He spit his cigar out on the floor as he popped one dead center in the middle of his head. The blank fell over the railing, crashing down to the first floor. In swift succession, he shot another in the chest, over and over, and at last he dropped to his knees and slumped over. He rushed to the guy, confiscated all his weapons before moving in stealth mode along the wall, and climbed down the stairs to meet the rest of his unwanted guests. Once he got to the first floor, he stooped low and checked out his surroundings. Gunfire continued to ring out in all directions, accompanied by grunts, groans, and curses. Standing straight, he took several steps. Savage, an unknown voice called out. Don't try anything stupid. Give up. You're outnumbered. A man dressed in an army camouflage came into view, holding an AK-15, aimed right in his direction. Savage glanced quickly at the ceiling, shot twice at a beam, then dropped to his knees. When the man shot at him multiple times, crouched down and caught two of his weapons, one in each hand. Pieces of ceiling rained down in heavy chunks, cracking against the floor and hitting everyone in their path. A cloud of white and misty gray smoke wafted up as he shot the guns in every direction. Footsteps echoed and deafening screams ensued. His muscles burned with the effort, but he kept firing round after round as long as he heard even the slightest whisper coming through. After a while, everything went quiet. When the dust cleared, 8 dead men surrounded him, all buried in a grave of ash, splattered blood, and debris, their bodies riddled with bullets from his AK-47 and Desert Eagle. One had a knife sticking out the side of his neck. Savage stood and assessed his surroundings, the soles of his feet crunching on the jagged fragments of the house he cherished. He bent down over one of the bodies, pulled his knife out of the blank night, and and made his way to Ivan, his favorite guard, who stared lifelessly up at the ceiling, blood pooling from the sides of his gaping mouth. The guy had tried to call him when the chaos commenced. Going on one knee, he gently closed the fellow's eyes and shook his head. D-A-M-N it, Ivan, he murmured, then climbed up the steps towards his bedroom. He could hear the whimpers of the woman he had just blanked, still safe behind the locked door. After pressing in the code to make the door open, she screamed in horror, then relaxed when their eyes met. She shivered and held herself before running into his arms and holding him tight. What was all that noise? What happened? Get your clothes on. It's time for you to leave. Several minutes later, he heard her placed inside the back of a black Lincoln, her face streaked with mascara and her hair in disarray. She slumped forward, gazing listlessly at the floor. After offering her a stiff drink and telling her a cockamamie story about a Hollywood movie being filmed in his domicile, he gave instructions to his driver to take her home. He went back inside and dialed a number as he leisurely stepped over several dead bodies. Austin, we have party crashes. I need you guys to get over here and clean this SHIT up. DAM it. How many arrive with cakes and wine for the merrymaking? A dozen blank donuts, jelly filled and spilled just in time for the office party. Yep, 12. Looks like my guards got rid of a few before I had even joined the festivities. These blanks took out Ivan too, so I'll have to make sure to give their handler a very fine thank you gift. Blank. Ivan had been one of their best lookouts, a rare breed indeed. Any survivors? I've got one ready for a debrief. He's a sitting duck. I put 3 slugs in him, one in the leg, 2 in his chest, both of them framed around his heart, one on each side, twins. He chuckled as he negotiated around the wreckage to ensure the coast was clear. Sounds painful and drawn out. You're an amazing sadist. That's why I love you, the guy chuckled. Anyway, I'll send a crew over to clean up the after party. Longhorn must have arranged this SHIT, son of a BITCH. Savage shrugged as he went back upstairs and saw the BASTARD he had shot in the chest a mere 2 centimeters from his heart, lying there panting hard like some dog in need of water. His eyes were glossed over and his lips twisted in pain. They looked at one another, and the sheer terror in the blank's eyes almost made his blank heart. This is payback, no doubt. He's still looking for me, Savage, and he wants you too. That's to get back at me, of course. He's always working, as are we. He stifled a yawn. If he went through all of this, that means he's up to something. Wants me out of the way. Anyway, I need to get to the blank out of here before the tardy for the party squad arrives with after dinner refreshments once they realize half of their crew is growing stiff like boards. I'll call you back when the smoke clears. Savage ended the call, his chest heaving as he glared down at the piece of blank before him. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and I want clear, concise answers. Number 1, where's Longhorn? Number 2, What's he got planned? The guy grunted and rolled his eyes, blood oozing out of his wound, saturating the fabric of his tart-colored shirt. Blank you. Savage dropped to his knees, placed his hand around the blank's neck and squeezed, released, then squeezed again. This time so hard his arm shook as he sucked for air, relishing in the agony he inflicted. The man's legs flailed, dragging against the wooden floor. The oxygen in his lungs came to an abrupt stop, and the evident pain he now endured as his windpipe took a bruising was certain to cause the blank irreparable medical consequences once he let go. Savage slowly lessened his grip for a fourth time, squeezed, then again, and relaxed his grip. He grinned at the blank's back arch, his face turning blue. The man coughed violently and gasped for air. I can break your spinal cord in 3 seconds, shoot you in the throat, and let you die here, and die hard. Bleed the blank out. Final time. Where's Longhorn? He asked once more. Savage, you blank, you blank, blank. The man coughed up blood which sputtered against his lips and chin. Yes, my name is Savage, and yes, I am a blank, but I didn't ask you to identify me. I asked you to tell me where your puppet master is and the reason he sent you. I'm not telling you, blank, the man spat. Savage slid over the blank's body like a blanket for the newly deceased, pressed his weight against him as he pried his lips apart with a jerk of his hand. His prey made the oddest noises as he toyed with his face, taking steps to ensure that things ended one way or another. Well then, Savage smiled down at him as he turned into an impromptu dentist. Since you're not telling me, blank, he sneered, as you so nicely stated, I'll make certain that you not tell anyone, blank, ever again. Okay? Taking the dagger still stained with another blank's blood, he reached into his mouth, grasped, oh my gosh, grasped his tongue and sliced it off in one fell swoop. The man's body ripped and rocked beneath him as he groaned in pain, his mouth now looking as if someone had poured a pitcher of Bloody Mary inside it. The man's eyes bucked and rolled as Savage leisurely got to his feet, leaving him there to bleed to death. In about 10 minutes, Savage glanced casually at his watch. Several men you love to hate will be here, and they're going to collect your dead friends that are lying around here, getting ready to stink up the joint. Then they're going to grab you too, the new mute, and bury you alive with them. Maybe I was too hasty. I bet you were going to eventually tell me where Longhorn was, huh? He laughed. I bet the answer was on the tip of your tongue. He tossed a loose pink muscle onto the floor. But as they say, silence is golden. Shine bright like glitter. It's showtime. Several days later, this is Dr. Zaire Ellington with Confessions of a Better You. I want to welcome everyone back to the show this evening. Sitting in her radio studio, built into her home with her engineer and producer close by, Zaire leaned into the microphone. Her long, dusty gray shrubs slid down on her shoulder, exposing her black bra strap, and a cool breeze from the air conditioning vents above tickled her flesh. Just a little housekeeping before we begin. I'm a licensed psychologist in the state of Nevada, specializing in marriage and family dynamics. She clasped her hands together and took a deep breath. I graduated from Yale University, receiving my PhD in clinical psychology, then worked for many years in several local hospitals in the mental health and well-being units. Soon thereafter, I entered the private sector. Now I run my own show where I talk to you, my wonderful listening audience, adjusting your marital, familial, and relationship issues. Last week, we were speaking with Karen from Las Vegas, who was explaining that her husband of 3 years had recently joined various online dating services. After months of suspicion that her husband was cheating, she figured out his password and lo and behold, stumbled upon a treasure trove of sites aimed at setting up intimate hookups between consenting married adults. Karen is back on the line with us this evening. She pushed a button and crossed her ankles. Hello, Karen. Welcome back. Hi, hi, Dr. Ellington. The woman sniffed as if she had been crying. I'm so glad we managed to speak again, Karen. I didn't feel as if we discussed the issue enough before we run out of time, and I certainly didn't want to leave you so abruptly. You know, Karen, what you've discovered is not uncommon, unfortunately. You're not alone. In this virtual age, it is rather easy for people to have discreet sexual liaisons, thus breaking the trust between committed partners. These phone apps create a virtual playground right at our fingertips, a fast food sexual service, if you will, which removed the need to sneak around whispering on a phone or meeting up for drinks in secret to break the ice. Eliminating all of that saves time and reduces the risk of being discovered. It is also it also aids in the spinning of a false narrative where people can pretend to be what they are not. He is definitely not the person I thought he was, the woman laughed dismally. Perhaps, but what may be more true, Karen, is that he is not the man you wanted him to be. Now, back to the online thing, particularly these apps. I need to address this because I've been getting a lot of calls and emails about this very issue. I believe in the saying that the eyes are the windows to the soul. There are no eyes to look upon when these interactions begin, only photoshopped or filtered photos and whatever notions pop into their heads. Wants to fill a void and cater to a fantasy. That aside, there is a clear intent. No need to grab coffee before the grand event, right? It's a meeting of the genitals, not the minds. Your fingers simply do the typing to arrange such a thing. Now, in the interest of privacy, we'll call your husband Ken. Zaire leaned forward, took a sip of her hot green tea, and continued. Please, let's pick up where we left off. You were in the midst of telling us what occurred, Karen, when you confronted Ken regarding your recent findings about his infidelity. Well, needless to say, I was devastated. I cried. I still do every day. So after I got myself together, I took several screenshots and sent them to myself as backup, knowing he'd try to get rid of the evidence once I brought it to his attention, make me seem like I'm crazy or misread something. When he got out of the shower, I confronted him. At first, he tried to say they were old profiles. Zaire nodded as the woman relayed the painful details. Then he told me I had no right to mess with his phone, invade his privacy. He became irate and tried to turn it around. Those are all typical responses when one is caught in such situations, especially if they wish to maintain their marriage for whatever reasons. In this case, it's more than likely financial incentives for him to stay in it. Where do you and Ken stand now, Karen? We're not speaking, and he is calling me a nut, saying the accounts are old, when I could clearly see that they weren't. Playing devil's advocate here. Are you certain? Yes, I am, because several of the photos he posted were of him inside our new house, and we've only lived here a little over 6 months. Did you check the websites to see if he still had active profiles? I jotted down a few notes. Yes, I created a fake account for each service, and sure enough, they were all gone. I'm sure he has more that I don't know about, though. Okay, so you're at the stage where Ken is still feigning no knowledge of the incidents and blaming you when he was the one engaging in, at the very least, inappropriate conversation that delved into a sexual nature with women other than his wife, correct? Yes, all of that is accurate. The first thing you need to do, Karen, is not wait for a confirmation from him or expect an apology at this point. There are three typical reactions to such a situation. One, admission followed by an apology and request for assistance toward a reconciliation and healing. Two, denial and blame gaming, often used by narcissists, sociopaths, or simply people who are unable to deal with their inadequacies and wrongdoing in a mature manner. Three, admission, but then accusing the significant other of being the prime reason for the infidelity. What you have, Karen, is number two, and boy, is it a piping hot pile of dung. So let's put Ken aside and focus on you for a change. Okay, because your well being, with or without Ken's help, is what's important here. He has made his choices. Now it's time for you to make yours. I want you to tell Ken that he's demonstrated absence of devotion, is making moral is making moral character, and has insulted your intelligence. He has shown with his actions a lack of respect for you, and he believes he is entitled to do as he wishes. But as for you, if you care one iota about yourself, you will be forming a new life that doesn't consist of acceptance of this level of disrespect. Are you are you suggesting I divorce him? A marriage, in my opinion, can survive one instance of infidelity, Karen. What it cannot survive is repeated emotional abuse and manipulation, gaslighting, frequent lying, then more of the same. Karen, I'm going to send you my book, In My Own Arms, as well as Enough is Enough, which is my best selling self help book. Both discuss self love and appreciation, and the step one needs to take in order to navigate what you're currently enduring. Remember, the reasons why one considers cheating are not always the character's fault. The act of cheating, however, is. Thank you, Dr. Ellington, Karen said around a nose full of sniffles. This has been incredibly painful. I understand that you are upset and hurting. The fact of the matter is, however, you do not have children with this man, so you can make a clean break. I tend to avoid telling callers and my clients to divorce. This should always be a last result and ultimately their own decision. But what you're experiencing is one of many instances over the course of 3 years where you've been disparaged and treated lesser than by this man. In our first conversation, you stated that in the first year of marriage, he cheated with a coworker. That's true. It's been awful. I love him so much, though. Do you see how you just glossed over that and went back to how much you love him? Love doesn't have anything to do with this. Love is nowhere to be found in this equation, not even self love, or you would not keep subjecting yourself to this person who has proven time and again that you mean nothing to him. A one time affair doesn't mean that person doesn't love you. That's bad enough. But repeating the abuse is a huge issue. Ken does not love you, okay? He does not care. He does not want you, Karen. Do you hear me? Our actions speak louder than our words. I think he may have a problem. Zaire rolled her eyes, fell back in her seat and sighed. She didn't know if she could go another minute with this call, but she was determined to fight through it. After that first indiscretion, Ken didn't stop there, did he? She grabbed a pen and twirled it between her fingers like a tiny baton. No, he didn't. Right, because you told us that second year after he swore to leave her alone, the coworker, there was a pregnancy scare in which he had to submit to a DNA testing and was ruled not to be the father. But the stress that brought upon you and your marriage was traumatic. He then lost his job or quit. I should say, since he felt that position was beneath him, and he allowed you to carry the financial burden all by your DAMN self, while he ran off into the streets with his friends and played video games. That's, of course, when he wasn't passed out drunk. Oh, I hate this blank, and I don't even know him. Zaire rolled her eyes as memories of her own ex-boyfriend burst through her mind. A brilliant man who had turned into a jerk when he drank too much. After 3 years and 2 months of that, hoping, wishing, and praying, she left him and never looked back. Now, here we are, Karen, 3 years in, and he is back at it again. He's a consistent blank, that's for sure. Worse yet is in most cases, such as this, I am certain you don't even know the half of it. Zaire tapped a black stiletto-shaped fingernail against the work desk. This is about you, about what you caught him doing red-handed, so trust me, the rabbit hole is deeper, much deeper. I understand. It's a mess, the woman sniveled. How can I get my marriage back on track? I don't want to divorce, Dr. Ellington. I have too much invested in it. We understand each other. I need everyone to hear me on this next part. If you pay attention to nothing else I say today, listening audience, at least listen to this. She leaned closer to the mic, placing one hand on her hip and pointing a finger in the air as she made her point. What some women seem to not understand is that emotional cruelty, habitual cheating, and mental anguish due to dishonesty and lack of accountability in a relationship, disregard for how one's actions affect one's mate, are all forms of abuse. Karen here is in denial. She doesn't see this for what it is. There is no saving a pig from mud. That's where it wants to be. Just because a man is not slapping you around doesn't mean this is any less serious. If you are being lied to, cheated on, or made to feel inferior on a continuous basis, I must break it to you. You're a battered woman. You're mentally and emotionally tormented. Your bruises and scars are on the inside, not the outside, but they are very much there, just as real and just as important. Dr. Ellington, please, I get what you're saying, but you're not in our home. It's not how you think it is. We have good times too. So did many serial killers and their victims on occasion? What's your point? I have faith that he can change. He just needs help. Karen, when will you have enough love and faith in yourself to pull the plug on this entire operation? That's my question. When will you help your own self? You're going to do like so many others, call into shows like this, badger psychics on their 1-800 numbers, bother your friends and family and complain, then go right back to the source of your pain, a glutton for abuse. We're tired of people like you, okay? People who really don't want support and assistance. You want a magician to wave a wand and change this piece of man because that's what he is. Real men don't do this to their wives. Then you'll be in the same spot 10 years later after he's emotionally beating you to nothing, drained you dry, saddled you with children that he isn't there for emotionally or financially either. And you'll be singing the same old song. Only this time you'll be bitter. Your best years would have been wasted, and you'll use the children as an excuse to stay, though you hate his guts and daydream of slitting his throat in his sleep. At that point, it isn't his fault. It's yours for not taking your truth serum like a woman, swallowing it down, and getting better. Because, baby, you're sick. I'm not going to bank around with you. You are playing with fire to even consider staying with someone like this, and I am no longer interested in trying to change your mind because you're not ready, honey. I get it. But someone out there who's listening is prepared to make a change. So this message is for you out there that care about yourself enough, love yourself enough, cherish yourself enough to say, just like my book, enough is enough. The woman was sobbing now, falling apart. Karen, I come from a place of love. I am not trying to hurt you, but baby, you better wake the HELL up. He talks to you like trash because you keep putting yourself out on the curb. Will he have will he have to produce children outside of the marriage like so many others for you to finally rid yourself of this addiction known as kin? The woman sobbed loudly on the other end of the phone. I understand that you're in pain, but if you wish to begin healing, you must start from within. And now we are moving on to other callers. I wish you well. Zaire went on with her show, each caller announcing their issues with a loved one, going into detail about how their love lives have been turned upside down due to a wayward teenager running amok or a mate who had found love outside of the home in the arms of a dear family friend. Excuse me. After the 2 hour segment was complete, she lied back in her chair and smiled at her producer, Emmanuel, who gave her a thumbs up. She looked up at the ceiling, then closed her eyes, her mind spinning around and around, falling into a daydream. Some days the calls were so emotionally draining that it felt like a vigorous gym workout. At times, she too witnessed bits and pieces of her former self and these people who called in, declared their heartbreak caused by someone who didn't live up to their expectations. Great show there, her engineer Robert stated as he slid his white jacket on, the keys to his truck dangling from his fingertips. Thank you. Any plans tonight? She asked, half listening to the music playing, something she always did at the end of each show. Right now, Taylor Swift's Everything Has Changed, featuring Ed Sheeran, weave this musical magic spell through the speakers. Tiger and I are probably headed out to hide for the weekend. He reached down and grabbed his satchel. Hi, Bella Giorgio. You're going to Vegas today? Yeah, I love the Bella Giorgio. Hyde is amazing. You should go if you've never been. It's nice and upscale. Great Italian food. I figured Tiger would want to get away for a bit, visit her sister. She and Robert waved goodbye to Emmanuel as he slipped out the back door. Well, that's a coincidence because I was thinking of having a Vegas weekend with a couple of my girlfriends. I told them earlier in the week we would go tonight, but I haven't confirmed. I'm known to change my mind at the last minute. She grinned, though she wasn't particularly proud of that. After the week I've had, I really could use it. She laughed dismally and shook her head, finishing off her drink. Yeah, it's been rough. Must be a full moon this week, he teased. You told me a few weeks ago you hadn't been to Vegas in a while. How long has it been? Sheesh, she tapped her chin and thought it over. I've been to Vegas a few times for conventions over the past 12 months, but for a pleasure trip, she grabbed a bottle of water, twisted the top off, and took a hard chug. Over a year. I called Kim and Allison, and they said they're up to it. I just need to confirm, like I said. Yeah, I'm going. I will call them for sure. Well, he slung his bag over his shoulder. I hope you do. Maybe we'll bump into each other. Have a great weekend, Zaire. He winked at her and waved, and she responded in kind. You too, and tell Tiger I said hi. Grabbing her cell phone, she dialed her good friend Kim, an amazing real estate agent she had met 8 years ago while house hunting. They had been practically inseparable ever since. Hey, you, the lady's smile poured over her words like thick, sticky syrup. I was just thinking about you. So, are we going or not? First things first, how did the closing go today? Oh, it went great. I have another one next week. Things have really picked up. So, are we going to get smushed this weekend in Vegas or what? Tired of waiting. I could use the break, Zaire. Braxton is driving me crazy. Never get a guy in their 20s. Learn from me, please. Zaire laughed, envisioning Kim rolling her eyes. Well, what do you expect from a guy who is almost 15 years your junior and you've turned him out? You and all of that hot Latina fired you bring. You showed that guy stuff he's never seen in his whole entire life. He never had it so good. I tell you what, if he wasn't such a staunch Republican, we could probably make this work for at least a few months longer. Well, at least for scheduled booty calls on the regular. I just don't know if it's worth the aggravation. What do you mean, staunch Republican? You have plenty of Republican friends. Heck, I've voted for a few Republican candidates too in the past. If you ask me, most of them are full of shit across the board regardless of party affiliation. True, but he's in deep, baby, like a cult. I mean, honestly, what did I expect? He was a political science major, former Mormon from Utah, Zaire. He's no choir boy in the sack, though. Whew, that blank can blank. He's in my top 3 row. Hung like a horse, too. Maybe that's why he's so good in bed, because his urges were suppressed and pent up for so long. Didn't you say he only had sex with 2 other women before you? Yeah, and one of them ended up in the hospital after he hung her upside down and drilled her like he was looking for oil. And they both burst out laughing. He seems nice enough though, just young and a bit naive. You said yourself he's a bridge, a friend to get over troubled waters with until you meet Mr. Right. Zaire shrugged as she got to her feet and began to contemplate what she'd throw into her small travel bag for their vacation. If I left him, he'd go right out there and find another woman at least 10 years older than him. He loves him some older lady, Zaire. Hmm. It says we're more mature, know what we want. Get this though, he is still arguing with me about that whole Josie Smollett debacle. That happened eons ago. Like, let it go already. Well, there's still backlash from it. That was a strange situation, regardless of what anyone believes. I think it'll always be a case of interest because of just how bizarre it was. Anyway, I take it your boy Toy wanted him prosecuted to the full extent of the law? Yep. I'm sure he'll want to screw before I head out for our weekend adventure too. I guess I can throw him a bone. Kim sighed on the other end of as if the thought of tossing the guy some blank was exhausting within itself. She stifled a laugh. Before I leave, I could turn him on by grabbing his blank like a Subway sandwich. Jossie Smollett style and saying, "This is cougar country." Zaire burst out laughing at her friend's antics. You are insane. A proud cougar you are, that's true. Wear it like a badge of honor, girl. Anyway, I'll give Allison a call and we can meet up, I guess, at your house later on tonight and head out. It's a 7-hour drive, so we can split it up like we did the last time. Sounds good. Stop by around, say, 7-ish tonight. Let me wrap up some things for the open house I have planned, get packed, and you two can swing by. Can't wait to see you, babe. I've missed you so much. Same here. You and Allison are my peace and serenity, girl. Okay, see you in a short while. Zaire ended the call and looked around her basement radio studio to ensure she had everything sorted out before turning off the light. She headed upstairs to the first floor, her satin-lined green slides slipping against the slick wooden floors of her home, making her way to her modern sky blue and silver kitchen. She pulled out a chilled bottle of Diet Cola from the stainless steel refrigerator with echo speaker capabilities, then headed up to her bedroom as on the second floor. Going to her huge walk-in closet, she called out, Alexa, play Girls Just Want to Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper. She danced to the catchy tune as she selected a couple of silky shirts, then snatched a pair of lace and satin panties and bras from the chest of drawers. After a few minutes, she was halfway packed, her fingers snapping and her mood elevated. Grabbing her phone, she stood in front of her vanity and tousled her long curly black hair over one shoulder as she looked herself over, admiring the small gold earrings she had purchased from BVW Jewelers. I look exhausted. Yeah, I definitely need to get the H out of here and recharge. I was wondering when you were going to call, Allison yelled. I've got my suitcase out, just hung up with Kim. Girl, I can't wait. Yes, we're going. Let's do this. Been a long time since we messed Vegas up. She chortled. They aren't ready for a Zaire. Blank it up, blank it up, blank it up, blank it up, blank it up. Allison Anders always got Zaire in a good mood. The woman stood almost 6 feet tall, slender with huge breasts and a tiny waist. She was gorgeous. Thick black hair hung past her shoulders, so beautiful against her rich mahogany skin. They'd met at one of the conventions she'd attended a few years back. Allison was a part-time dance teacher and social worker, eager to add diverse skills to her resume. I heard you going off on the air today. Saw your cheeks warm. I love it when you tell these ladies what's up. That's that blank she needed to hear, Zaire. Sorry, not sorry. You're eager to help, but you ain't no buttercup. Now, how much money are we wasting on slot machines this weekend? I want the splurge. How many drinks are needed to ensure that we embalm our blank livers? Pickle them up and set them on jars for Ripley's, believe it or not. And how many blanks are we blank riding? Because I am the rhinestone cowgirl, honey. You're married. You can't ride no blanks. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And the blank I can't. That piece of blank has got a whole family out there now. I told you he wasn't blank. This old blank blank got her pregnant too. Thinks I don't know about it. Zaire shook her head. He has another woman and children. Color me surprised, she teased. I already told you about this man. I was just arm candy for him. I know, and I told you I already saw a divorce attorney. I'm done, Zaire. I mean it this time. I'm not the one. Zaire paused and glanced at her pretty necklace on her dresser, trying to decide whether to take it with her or not. You and Kim asked me for guidance, then ignored me, and I've about had it. I'm an advice radio therapist, accredited, I might add, and my best friends never take my suggestions. Y'all are making me look bad, Allison. Making you look bad? Girl, nobody gives a blank that we're cool. I'm grown. I can screw up my life in peace. I own all my choices. You told me not to marry him, but honey, I needed a sugar daddy. Working for that nonprofit foundation wasn't cutting it. I should have never gone into social work. Anyway, sugar daddy my blank. I found out too late wasn't nothing sweet about him. Wanted me to lick his crusty blank and shove a 10-inch glass blank up my blank. That's too freaky even for me. He has so many strange fetishes, it's not even funny. He didn't say any of that when we were dating. The truth came out after the vows. He knew what he was doing. I should have listened to his fourth ex-wife. The blank tried to warn me. And so did I, Zaya protested. But my opinion is chopped liver to you and Kim. You both are going to learn one day, hopefully before it's too late. I happen to like chopped liver. Okay, let's roll out. See you over at Kim's tonight and don't be late. I'm hot to trot. Back flat on a cot, call me a stop. I wish I could get you. Oh, she hang up this phone and let's go. I got some bomb blank blank too. Yeah, see you in a bit, baby. We're heading for Vegas, bound for an adventure of a lifetime. Okay, that was chapter 1, believe it or not. Quite long and quite interesting. You now have an idea about these two characters in this book. And I'm going to save the next chapter for, well, I'll record it. But I want you to tell me whether or not you want me to continue. You know, this is interesting. This may work out for us. I'm not sure. For now, I'll do the recordings until I figure out how to make us go live in a private room on YouTube, because my stories aren't for everyone. They're for those of you who are truly interested and like this type of thing. On the other hand, maybe I'll find some less spicy books and share those on YouTube for everyone to hear. At any rate, as usual, I've enjoyed reading, but I don't want to make this recording too long. So I hope that you've enjoyed what you've heard, and please let me know. All right? Because until we get a new home, this is pretty much how it's going to have to go. I think I'll send out a link and you can join me in my Zoom room until I work out the bugs for YouTube. That way we can at least see one another and you can make comments to me personally without having to do all that typing. Of course, you can put it in the chat if you would prefer over voicing what you have to say. Either way will certainly be welcome. So until next time, please stay safe, love yourselves, and remember, we're trying to spread love, peace, joy, and respect wherever we go. I love you all. Good night.